So once we were done with worshipers, we're like with that part, and there was like leaders of churches, I gave you that name in the first place. And and he was like, and he goes, and he was like, all I got was, who is building your church? Jesus or you? If God is adding to your church, is it because the evidence proves that Jesus has done the work, or your brand or your name has done the work in them? It was just that. And he was like, it was like he was having this conversation with me. He goes, when we first sat down, I gave them that name because of because I promised that I will bring it. And I was like, wow. And he goes, yeah, so remind them, is it still that way? You know what I mean? It's like it was like this whole time was like, remind them the first time. Remind them, remind them how we started in the very first place, and where did it change? And that's what he was saying. It was like, who is the loudest name that they shout out, that the people in the congregation shouts out? Is it me, Jesus, that made the transformation, and the Jesus did this or did because I said I was going to build the church. I'm the one that builds the church. On this rock I will build my church. I'm the rock. When Peter, I'm like, and he goes, yeah. So he was like, so mention that, the church, he was like, you're currently in glory. Is it what it is? Is it what it is? And he kept saying the two questions together. Is it what it is? Is it like it is? Was the word. I was like, whoa. Yeah, he was going, which is, who is the loudest name they shout out when they speak about the testimony of their breakthrough and their transformation? Is it Jesus? Is it Holy Spirit? Is it God? Or is it you? Or is it your church name? Get off. And I'm like, and it was like, get off that train quickly. Like pull that safety lever, emergency thing, and get off that train. If it's actually your name that they're speaking more of than Jesus. Get up or be aware that if it's not Jesus, then, and if it's your man or if it's your woman of God, then I think you need to probably reconsider and go back to him and go, oh, who has really made this transformation? Yeah, and that's what he goes. And he goes, because this is the kind of behavior that provides more ammunition for the enemy camp than it is for God's camp. It is, because it's like, if I could stay focused on, if it was my pastor that was changing my life, I would never really know how to live my life I don't know. I would never know I would always need Pastor Catherine, always, for any of my promises to come to life. She would be my life source, which isn't the case, because that's not what they teach or preach. They're all about Jesus, Jesus. It's, for me, I can literally say it's Jesus. And then he quickly gets off that, and then he goes, why do Jesus say things that I leave the 99 and go after the one? Because he didn't come for the righteous, but for the sinners. Right? So and it was again, so he mentions that, goes back to, what is the personality and character of your church? What is it? And he's still on this. And it was like seriously, let it be the name that God gave you in the first place. If it's like my church, Glory City Church, is it what it is? Is it what it is? If it's Destiny Church, if it's Destiny Church, is it what it is? Is it what it is? But he didn't put the church. It was like, if it, like my church name, Glory, I was like, is it what it is? Is it what it is? If it's destiny, is it what it is? Is it what it is? If it's life, is it what it is? Is it what it is? And then the second question I heard was like, and whose glory, whose destiny, whose life that you speak about? That I spoke about with you when I gave you that name. And I was like, whoa, that's a bit. And he goes, but that's, you asked what's going on. And I'm like, here it is. And I was going, we need to bring them back. Why? I started this with them. And you got to remember, Lulu, when I've given you the name, that you will remember that it was me that gave it to you. Remember that it is me that builds it. And I'm like, got it. Like, and I was like, whoa. Yeah. And that's what he was saying. Just, he was like, remember, come away with me. And so we can, that this happened. We did this together. Like, yeah, it was just, it's kind of like that movie, Real Player One. It's this awesome sci-fi movie. So awesome. Gotta watch it. It's Steven Spielberg. It came out last year. Best movie. And it was like they came up with this video game, like this video game together, him and his best friend. They did it together, but because it got so big, that the money people kind of convinced one of the owners to go in it alone and get rid of his friend. And so he signs this contract that pretty much outs his friend out of the whole contract, yet they build it together. And it's kind of like, whoa, oh my gosh, I'm getting goosebumps. It's kind of like that. It's like, right at the beginning when we start, with our churches, and that God built it, and we're so, so childlike with it, that, we're with Jesus. But then when it gets into this monster, into this glorious thing, it's like, yeah, let's kind of do this without Holy Spirit. We can do this without you, Jesus. It's kind of like that. And it's funny because they go through this whole quest, and then right at the end of this movie, the one thing that he regretted wasn't that he didn't end up with the love of his life. The one thing he regretted was outing his best friend, was signing him out of the deal. And that the winner of this game, he was testing him, will he do the same in this game? But the boy was so onto it, goes, you don't want to sign this. It was all a facade. It goes, you don't want to do this contract because this is what you regret with your friend. And when he caught that, the whole scene went away, and he meets him for real, and he gets the whole world of this whole virtual reality gets gifted to him because he actually caught it. And I was, oh yeah, I'm telling the whole movie, but it's so good. But yeah, it's like that. I think that, yeah, wow. Oh, you're so awesome. Anyway, so that was the leaders of churches. He's like, all you leaders of churches, you got to watch Ready Player One, something like that. Because that was his biggest regret. He what do you call it? When you're in business with somebody and then you go into another contract, which actually cuts the other person out. Yeah, it was like that. They cut him out of the contract. Anyways. Yeah, so that was that part. And then the third thing was to prophets and seers. I know, a very dangerous place to tread on, especially when you're not like in the office of one. But yeah, it was, oh God, are you sure? You're going to make yourself popular. Who cares? I will always go with him. I'm not afraid to deny that and to shout that to the rooftop. I will always. Call me loopy, but hey, I will. It's on camera. I've said it. I will always. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. And the last part was, the last thing that the Lord showed me was prophets and seers, but I will cover this next week. And yeah, so tune in, because I'm sure you're going to hear about this. Okay.